Fanáticos y seguidores de Lucha Libre Online. Quiero empezar esta entrevista with a quote from one of the greatest wrestlers to ever put a pair of boots. This is the greatest moment of my whole life. I want to dedicate this moment to all the people that believe that the biggest dreams can come true. And today, one of my dreams came true. I am here with the legendary excellence of execution. The best there is, the best there was, the best there ever will be. Bret, thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to be here with me and talk a little bit about your career, wrestling, and what Bret Hart is up to today.
Well, I'm mostly making up for a lot of lost time, staying home as much as I can, trying to make up for all the lost time and being gone all the time for 30 years.
That's great to hear, Bret. So now I have a couple of questions. That you've been mentioned a lot lately in the media, social media, wrestling world. There's a lot of rumors about you being possibly joining in the ranks of FTR, AEW. What do you have to say about that?
Well, I'm happy retired. I'm really a home guy now. And there's not a lot I can do in wrestling. It's like people say, "What are you going to do?" Like, what would you do in AEW? It's like, what would I do? Referee, manage, be a chairman, or it's like I don't want to be remembered that way. I want to be remembered as a wrestler.
Well, you are possibly, in my opinion, in my view, the greatest storyteller in the ring. And I think you would be able to give a lot of these young cats a lot of knowledge when it comes to being able to have them give a story in the ring. What do you think about that?
I'd be happy to help a lot of them. And I know a lot of them, and I talk to a lot of them sometimes by text or on the phone, and people call me up. I always got advice, and, I can always pinpoint little things that can make a difference in a guy's match or something he's doing. But I'm a guy that likes being home. So if they're going to have to call me on the phone. It's not something I wish I could go do stuff, more easily, but I'm getting a little older now, and it's getting harder for me to keep flying around and doing stuff. So I got to pick my days that I can do stuff. And there's a lot of things I would love to be part of with AEW and what they're doing, and I know we got some great wrestlers there, and I have a lot of respect for the organization and all that. But right now, I'm happy at home.
So who in AEW is? I know that Punk has been very vocal about how great you are, and I actually agree with Punk with a lot of the things that he says. What do you think about that?
Well, I appreciate it a lot. I think a lot of wrestlers, like even Steve Austin. You see Steve Austin wrestling at WrestleMania this year. It's like how sweet that is. Like how would have been nice if I could have wrestled in my, like have a proper retirement where I could, to get hurt in the ring and never really get a good goodbye.
Send off.
You never get the right send off. It's always missing. It's always and I think for me, it's always been a bit of a sore spot. It makes me kind of mad that
bittersweet.
Because some guys flying all the way over to Saudi Arabia and making $3 million in a match, and the same guy's the guy that kicked me in the head. Never thought of, thinking about me or what he cost me and my family, and what he did to me, and the kick that I got from Bill Goldberg was a really dangerous kick to give somebody. And I don't think he ever showed any remorse, or frankly, I don't think he gave a shit, to be honest.
Man,
that's too bad. Because it's, I was always a professional. I think my greatest boast about being the best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be and all that, it's just a moniker, but the truth is, I never injured one wrestler in my whole career, ever in any kind of serious way where they couldn't go in the ring and perform the next day. Every wrestler I ever wrestled again the next day.
Yeah, and went home to their family.
And that's my boast, and that's I'm proud of that. And that's all I really have to say about that. But I mean, I got a lot of respect for Punk, you know, making his claim on that, and it's just, you know, it's nice to be supported. You know, there's a lot of wrestlers. You know, I meet a lot of wrestlers that, you know, pat me on the back and they support me, but they don't support me. You know, they're more careful with their words, and they're always, you know, looking to protect their own interests and stuff like that. But which is the nature of the business. But you know, I've always been a guy that's always been a good mentor to the younger wrestlers in the dressing room. All those years I was in WWE when I was the champion, I took the time to help a lot of guys and give them advice, and always treated everybody on the card the same way I treat the bigger names and stuff like that. I never played favorites.
There's a lot of stories where Edge has talked about how you helped them. The Rock has recently talked about how you helped them grow when there was a lot of cliques in the locker room, and you would always like take care of the younger guys to make sure that they don't get bullied.
Well, it was just guys that were being picked on all the time, and I just let them know that it wasn't.
You weren't having
wasn't professional.
Yeah,
and that they didn't have anything to worry about. And you know, some guys, you know, people had problems back then. You know, I'm not going to go into names and stuff like that, but there was a lot of bad guys that had bad problems, and they brought to their work. They brought that to work every day, and it affected a lot of the younger guys that were around me in those days, even myself. Like, you know, the whole meltdown with Shawn Michaels and WrestleMania, or the Survivor Series and the screw job and all that kind of stuff is like history now. It's like people know about it, you know, and it's just, for me, it's kind of funny to have to put it all in perspective now. That you know, I just always stood up for what I believed in, and you know, I wouldn't change anything I did back then. You know, I stand true to my word of who I was, and I spoke the truth every day to all the people around me, and they were the ones that lied to me and were dishonest to me, and you know, so I'm proud of myself. I'm proud of my career. I'm proud of my fans. I'm proud of all the guys that work with me, and I appreciate any young wrestler that goes out of his way to salute me or say something respectful to me. It means a lot to me.
I'm so glad to hear that, bro, because, you know, you are the legend of legends in my eyes. You're the best there is, the best there was, best there ever will be. And there's never going to be another Bret Hart ever again. But I have one simple question for you, because I know you did when you first started wrestling, you did wrestle in Puerto Rico. And you have a lot of big fan base in Latin America, Mexico, all over the world. But Latin America is big on Bret Hart, especially in Puerto Rico. How important was working when the start of your career in Puerto Rico to help you develop in what you became?
No, it was really pivotal, really monumental what I learned in Puerto Rico. You know, when I first started wrestling, I learned all the basic, you know, the falling, how to body slam, how to, you know, all the basic stuff. But when I flew to Puerto Rico and started wrestling, I remember it was a whole different thing, and I had to learn how to have fire and how to make a comeback and really explode and let myself go.
The crowd, real different from
to play the crowd, to look at the crowd and get them behind you. And you know, I never did anything like that. I was pretty shy, and you know, I remember those days. I remember it's like, okay, I'm going to go out and watch. I remember watching the first match and the second match, and I can't remember the wrestlers that I watched, but they all had fire. They all had such intensity. And you know, I went out and I remember saying, I'm just going to do what they did. And I don't know if I was as good as they were in the beginning or anything like that, but when I went back to Canada 3 months later, I was over that hard part. That was the hardest part to learn. Like, that's the hardest part for any young wrestler, just to get that comfortable with that comeback, that all that fire, and adrenaline and all that. And I learned that in Puerto Rico, and I took that home to Canada, and it was like instant.
And then you kept
that
it
was
going.
the hardest thing to learn, and I learned it really quick and really easy from all the Puerto Rican wrestlers. Taught me how to show fire and show emotion and drama and fire.
Oh, that's awesome, Bret. So to wrap up, I have one simple question. We heard not too long ago that, and I know you mentioned this before. I think you mentioned it in one of your columns when you used to do the columns around 2005 in Canada, where you had a dream that you had Brock Lesnar in a headlock. I remember reading that. And then Brock, not too long ago, I think Natty was the one that mentioned that his dream opponent was actually you if he could have had a dream opponent. What do you think about that?
I think it was somebody else besides Brock. I want to think there might have been Kurt.
It was Kurt and Brock that you had mentioned, because you had seen probably the match.
I watched them wrestling, which I thought was such a good match.
In WrestleMania.
The WrestleManias. But I remember having a dream, and I had Kurt Angle in a headlock. And I remember looking down, and I could remember, like in my dream, I'm going, it's a dream.
Yeah.
Don't get all, it's a dream. And I'm going to go, no, this is real. And I was like, I had to stop, and I remember I said, if it's a dream, look at Kurt's head. So I looked down at Kurt Angle's head, and I remember I looked at his head. And I remember going, it's not a dream, it's real. And then I woke up, and it was a dream. And I think I even told Kurt that story. I said, I dreamed about wrestling.
I remember reading it that you had wrote it.
And, so it was true. And it was one of the only dreams I ever had in wrestling. I've only had maybe 3 dreams about wrestling since I retired, but that was one of them. And I don't know if it was symbolic of anything, that maybe I wished I could have wrestled Kurt. I wish I could have wrestled Brock Lesnar. I mean, I wish I could have wrestled Daniel Bryan. I wish I could have wrestled CM Punk. There's so many guys I wish I could have worked with, but that'll have to be for video games and stuff like that now.
So let me give you one last question so we can wrap up, because I know that we've been here a long time and I don't want to take more of your time. One little Owen question that I have for you. Who for you would have been a dream opponent for Owen Hart if he was around today?
I would love to see Chris Jericho have wrestled my brother Owen. Would have been a good match. Chris is a very capable and really great wrestler in his own right. And Owen was a great wrestler, and they would have had some great, they both had some Lucha Libre stuff kind of going on, and a lot of high flying. And I would love to have seen them work with each other. That would have been a good one.
Well, Bret, thank you very much. Thank you for being here and just giving us your time and being the greatest wrestler to ever live in my eyes. And thank you for being my hero.
You're too kind. Thank you.
Mike Dagger La Gloria, Bret the Hitman Hart, Dagger out.